Well, hello, everyone. My name is Dean Jean Andre, and I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Environment at the University of Waterloo. Welcome to our faculty's Alumni Achievement Awards. We're so pleased to have you join us. And of course, I have a particularly warm welcome to all the honorees and to their family and friends who are joining us. I would like to begin by publicly acknowledging the history of the land that the University of Waterloo is situated on. All of our campuses are on the Haldimand Tract, land that was promised to the Six Nations, land within the traditional territories of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. Our ability to live and work here now is tied to policies of expulsion and assimilation. We have a responsibility to acknowledge and understand this history and the current experiences of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. And for this understanding, to inform the work that we do. The Alumni Awards celebration that we're having today is always one of my favorite events throughout the year. I tend to use a metaphor of educators as being the potter's wheel. We have this amazing clay that is being molded, and they're being molded by all of the experiences that they have through life, including they have with us. And for a short time in their life, we get to be the potter's wheel to help with the shaping, and it's such an honor to do that. Now, normally we would do this event in person. And today, of course, because of COVID, we're not able to do that. But the upside of that is we can welcome many of you who otherwise wouldn't be able to join us. Before we proceed to the awards themselves, I want to just say a few things about the university. The university and the faculty have just embarked on new 5-year plans. The faculty's strategic plan has 3 priorities, which I want to mention. The first is to be Canada's leader in environmental and sustainability education. The second is to achieve increased impact through our research, and that includes the way we mobilize knowledge. And the last that I'm most proud of is to demonstrate an ethos of caring in all that we do. Now, today's award winners align with these values very well, and in fact, also with the university's values, which increasingly are embracing sustainability and equity, diversity, and inclusion. Our honorees today are doers, they are leaders, they are visionaries. They are driven by a deep passion for the sustainability of the planet and communities. The Faculty of Environment Alumni Awards program was first established in 2008 to honor and recognize the incredible accomplishments of some of our most distinguished alumni. In 2013, we added the Young Alumni Inspiration Award to honor graduates who received their degree within the last 10 years and whose passion and drive shine as an example and inspiration to our current students and other young alumni. Last year, we conferred our very first Friend of the Faculty Impact Award, which was created to recognize individuals or organizations whose important contributions to the success, promotion, and mission of our faculty help us to increase our own impact. Over the years, we have recognized more than 24 individuals, and these people have had impressive records like the 3 I'll introduce today. For example, one of our previous winners was an author of one of the Nobel Prize winning IPCC reports on climate change. Another was the founder of one of the largest and longest standing planning firms in our province of Ontario. And another was a food advocate for the Global South. These are just a few examples of the impacts that our award winners have made. Well, today I'm so pleased to be able to invite in 3 other outstanding individuals to this prestigious Fellowship of Honorees. But before we get started, I'd like to encourage you to open up your chat box, and you could type messages of congratulations to our honorees as we go through. And there will be at the end a bit of time for question and answer. So let me begin then with the Distinguished Alumni Award winner. Our award winner this year earned her PhD as a graduate student at the University of Waterloo. She currently is a university administrator, researcher, advisor, consultant, and passionate volunteer for her community. Dr. Wanjiku Chiuri earned her undergraduate degree in sociology from the University of Nairobi, a master's in environmental studies from York University, and then her doctorate from our School of Planning, working with Professor Haima. Dr. Chiuri is an accomplished university leader and administrator. She's currently the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of academic, research, and student affairs at Laikipia University in Kenya. Earlier in her career, she was the first female academic dean at Egerton University, where she spearheaded a scholarships program for women and worked to open doors for female colleagues to pursue senior management roles there. Her leadership at the university today extends well beyond normal administrative duties. She led the development of nature trails within the university's natural forest, creating a hikers club for staff and students. She worked to open a daycare for students at her university. She chaired their environment committee, which embarked on an Adopt a Tree project last year. In fact, she's led many tree planting initiatives that have resulted in more than 250,000 trees being planted. Wanjiku's service is not restricted to the academy. Here are 6 examples. She's registered with Kenya's National Environment Management Authority as a lead expert in environmental impact assessment. She provides expertise to the participatory rural appraisal team that mobilizes communities towards sustainable rural development. She's secretary and advisor to one of Kenya's most successful and mostly female cooperatives in Kenya. Wanjiku also serves on the steering committee of Roots, Tubers, and Bananas, a search for collaborative supporting small whole farmers. She's also on the advisory team that supports the Laikipia County government on issues of gender, environment, and education. And she's a member of the board of management for 2 schools that are in her county. She's a lover of nature. She's still a committed teacher, a committed graduate student supervisor. Wanjiku Chiuri does all of this with an unwavering and infectious positive attitude and smile. I am so pleased to be able to bestow this honor on Dr. Chiuri today. Before we bring Dr. Chiuri to the screen though, let's enjoy a short video that has been created so that you can get to know her a little better.
As a child, I was very good at the outside things. I'm the firstborn in a family of 8, but my mother never trusted me very much with the children in the house. But I was better being in the field and working out in the open. As children, we used to follow insects and find out where they are going, where do they end up. So I was just curious about the ecosystem that was around me. Every experience that we go through has a purpose in our life, even as we go along learning new things. My experience in Waterloo has really shaped a lot of what I've done, and I don't take it for granted. It was an opportunity given to me by the Canadian taxpayers, and I feel indebted to them. I appreciate every bit of it, besides the winters, which I never got used to. But besides that, I really enjoyed being there. Currently, I'm the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Academic Research and Student Affairs. The impact that this role has on me is that I'm able to appreciate everybody's contribution in making this division successful. Success to me is when that student comes in as a first year and goes out with a certificate as a 4th year, having graduated and having completed in time. That's what success means to me. I was brought up by a mother who said, anything any human being under the sun can do, you can do it. And therefore, my life takes whatever is curious, is interesting, is adventurous, irrespective of my background. I don't worry about whether I know or I don't know. Is this something doable? Is it interesting? I think I can do it, and I think I can be successful with it. The universe is very rich and it is very exciting. We are just part of this universe. And the best thing is to make the best out of what you have and appreciate every bit of it. Because I think we spend a lot of time struggling with things that really don't matter. This COVID lockdown has really shown us what really matters in life. What really is critical. It's your family, it's your home, it's where you are. And appreciate it as it is and make it better if you can. That's what I can tell them.
That's a wonderful, wonderful message. Thank you for sharing that. The inspiration is wonderful, and it's exactly what we need at this time. So it was with great honor and humility that I bestow this honor on you today as the Distinguished Alumni Award winner. I wonder, Wanjiku, if you'd like to say a few words now.
Thank you very much. I really feel very honored about this. I'm sorry, I forgot my award in the office. So I had taken it there because I was videotaped from our first year's video welcome message. And I thought it was a nice thing to take to them and show them what alumni can do and what you can get. Then I forgot to bring it home. So I'm doing this at home now. So I'm sorry about that, but it looks like the other awards, so whatever you see the others show is what I have. So thank you very much. So I want to take this opportunity to accept this award. And I'm really excited. And I'm coming to take this prize today. And I want to bring along all the women that have been before us, that have fought for women's emancipation and women's liberation, and the millions of spirits that and sacrifices that they paid for us to be here, and especially for us African girls to go to school. There was a lot of sacrifices from the women that have gone before us. I want to say thank you. I bring them along as I take this. I also want to thank all my teachers from primary school all the way to the university. I want to make special thanks to Professor Haima, Professor Spence, I think he's with us. There was Professor Lang and Ron Matthews and Nelson. I don't know whether they are with us, but I would really like to thank them. My office mate, Robert Chipley, was very useful in helping me navigate Canadian systems and culture and things, so I'm really appreciative of that. And I want to thank the taxpayers that have paid through my school, the Kenyan government and the taxpayers, the Canadian taxpayers who paid for both my scholarship, my master's and my PhD. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And just, Robert Shipley is joining us on the call, so he'll have heard the shout out that you gave to him, which is great. Wanjiku, is it okay if I ask you just a couple of questions that we have? And then, of course, we'll take a few from the audience at the end when all of the award winners are able to engage. But I'm really struck by your focus on empowering and engaging women. And I just wonder, where did you get the motivation or the foundation to move in this really bold and sustained way?
Well, thank you for the question. I think there are very many things that may have contributed to this, but there's one incident when this question was sent to me by Diana. I tried to look back. What is it that triggered what I have done? So I went back to my childhood memory, and I remember the death of my mom's best friend. She burnt from a tin lamp, a tin kerosene lamp. It blew up because somehow where she bought the paraffin, somebody had put petrol, had a few drops of petrol in it. So when she lit the small lamp, it just blew up on her body. Her children and us were of the same ages, we were in the same classes. And by the end of the year, they were not able to finish school. As I grew older, I would engage my mother and ask what happened. Why did that happen to her best friend and our friends for that matter? And as I discussed with her, it grew very clear how important a mother is in her children's welfare. and in her community. So that is one of the things that really triggered me into whatever I do now. And I didn't even know how much I do until Diana started asking me, what have you done this? Have you done this? And so that's one of the triggers, because these children didn't even complete primary school. Within a year of mother being gone, the lives of these children, and there were 6 of them, was completely shattered. And that meant to me that the mothers have to be kept alive, no matter what, whatever each one can do.
Yeah, these tragic losses, they can be moments that shape us. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe one other quick question. I know that you've been really active and successful at building multi-stakeholder collaborations. And I just wonder if you could talk a little bit about how you successfully do that, some of the lessons you've learned maybe?
Yeah, some of the things that where I've worked with this most collaborations, that when you find an issue, an opportunity, a problem, you'll find that whatever problem a community is facing, even as a person, most of the time, this is a problem that you need several people, several stakeholders to be able to sort it out in a way that nobody loses in the process. So it's a way of building stakeholders' interests together for a common agenda, so that everybody is able to win at the end of the day. So you don't have losers in the process of gaining for some people. So when you put people on the table together, then you are able to identify where the losses would be and sort them out before you start off what you want to do. So the multi-stakeholder collaborations are useful, because then everybody ends up being a winner. Everybody is able to see where the problems are, where the solutions are, who is going to gain what, who is going to benefit from what, from the beginning before the project starts. So you don't have to be firefighting in the middle of the project. You are able to take care of the whole project from the beginning to the end with everybody who matters in that project or in that activity.
Thank you. That's a lesson for all of us, no matter whether we're working at a very small scale locally or whether we're leading major governments and United Nations kinds of activities. So thank you for that. So I just want to end at this point. We'll have a chance to hear a bit more from you when we go to questions, but I just want to end with a little silent applause. So warmest congratulations. Of course, if you were here in Canada, I would hug you, but a virtual hug, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Okay. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Friend of the Faculty Impact Award winner. I'm thrilled to announce this winner, who has become a professional friend as well over time. So it's my honor to introduce a Master of Environment in Business, graduate of our program, a woman whose passion, determination, expertise, and leadership has catalyzed change at local, national, and international levels. This person is Barbara Turley Mcintyre, who, when she came to us to study this degree, was already an established professional in the insurance sector and a leader in corporate sustainability. Over the last 23 years, and most recently as Vice President of Sustainability and Citizenship at the Cooperators Group Limited, Barb led the integration of sustainability into all areas of the organization's decision-making, action, and processes. Throughout her leadership, the Cooperators endorsed all 17 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and aligned their long-term enterprise goals accordingly. Thanks in large part to Barb's efforts, the Cooperators has been recognized as one of Canada's greenest employers, and they have earned top 10 rankings in Corporate Knights 50 Best Corporate Citizens list every year since 2010. Barb herself was a recipient of Canada's Clean 50 Award in 2013. She has been on the forefront of pushing our federal governments to develop a sustainable financial framework for Canada. She co-chaired the North American Task Force and Global Steering Committee for the United Nations Environment Program and Finance. And she participated in Smart Prosperity Leaders Initiative, Carbon Pricing Leadership Coalition, and the Council for Clean Capitalism. Barb has been passionate about helping Canadians and their communities become more resilient to climate change as well, with a particular focus on flooding. In fact, she's supported the development of a flood insurance product available to all Canadians, regardless of their flood risk, which really changed the face of flood insurance in the country. As part of her capstone project while she was with us in her degree program, Barb envisioned and then subsequently launched something called Partners for Action, or P4A. This is a research and knowledge mobilization network focused on flood resilience, and we are proud to house it here in the Faculty of Environment at the University of Waterloo. Barb has been instrumental in working with Canadian insurers and advocating for flood risk awareness, mitigation, and adaptation through her work with the Federal Advisory Council on Flooding, which made recommendations to our Federal Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness on options for managing the growing risk associated with flooding. She's an influential and passionate champion of both the Faculty of the Environment and the University of Waterloo. She has served as an instructor in some of our courses. She contributed to the Partners for Action Steering Committee. She's been by our side for a very long time. And so I'm so thrilled to be able to present her for this Friend of the Faculty Impact winner. But first, let's look at the video to learn just a little bit more about her, and then I'll give Barb a chance to say a few words.
I've been asked often about how did I find my 3 years going through the MEB program. And I'm going to have to be honest. It was arduous. It was hard. There were times where I thought, how can I continue to work and manage a master's program? But at the end of the day, it was all worth it. The group of people in your class, the other students, make a huge difference to your learning. The MEB program at Waterloo was a one of a kind. It was unique. It was leading edge. What made it rich was the diverse background that the other sustainability professionals came from. When I started in the insurance business some 35 years ago, sustainability was not on the forefront as a topic. I believe that as an industry, insurance is at the center of the solutions for the future. Insurance has always been about risk. Think of the assets under management that we can invest. So rather than investing in non-sustainable opportunities, we now invest in what I call impact investments, opportunities for the future, whether that's something like renewable energy or social housing, many options for us. The industry plays a pivotal role. It can also help depoliticize and depolarize issues. So for example, it's not about the environment or the economy, it's about the environment and the economy. I believe that as advocates within the insurance industry, we can play a key role in moving our country and the world towards a more sustainable society. There's no time like the present where it shows that we need some long-term thinking, less short-term thinking, and we need bold leadership. I would say, in my opinion, that success is what kind of an impact are you making? Whether it be small or large, is it making a difference? Is it helping people, the environment, the planet? What is it that your work is helping to advance and make a better world going forward? The roles that are there today are likely not going to be roles that are there in 5 and 10 years. So be prepared to pivot, be agile, look for where the opportunities are and for where you can bring your talents and make the greatest impact, because there's a lot of need for bold, young leadership, and it's your generation that's going to do this.
Wonderful words. Thank you so much. And thank you for the kind words about our program as well. It is just my greatest pleasure to be able to bestow this honor on you, Barb, a Friend of the Faculty Impact Award. You've had so much impact on us and of course in all other things that you've been doing. So I just want to say thank you and congratulations and give you a moment to say something.
Thank you very much, Jean. It's a pleasure to be with you all today, even though it's by video and not in person. I'm honored to be here. So I'd like to take a minute to thank my nominator, Mary Ann. and my supporters for this award. Without them, this would not have been possible. I'm both humbled and honored to be receiving the award today. When Jean called me on a Friday night during COVID to announce that I was the successful candidate, the successful winner, I was absolutely shocked. And Jean, we had a few laughs over that one and said we'd do a glass of wine sometime in the future, which we will. I need to at this time, and it's important for me at this time, to acknowledge my family, and in particular my husband Bob, who has seen me through the MEB program. I think he wondered if he'd have a wife. Without his support and without the children's support, it never would have happened. Additionally to that, I want to thank the cooperators. They supported me through the 3-year program, and without their support, it would never have happened. There's also a study buddy, and you might say, what's a study buddy? When you go through this program, I had one person, Brenda Stasiak. She and I were study buddies, and we met every Wednesday, whether it was for an academic need or a personal need. Without her, I would never have completed the program. And lastly, a few professors that I really want to mention: Blair Feltmate, Amelia Clark, Paul Parker. They really helped me through the program. My experience with the University of Waterloo since 2011 has absolutely been outstanding. And then my continued experience as an insurance professional, bringing in the Partners for Action program, Jean, that you spoke of, was an amazing experience. So to be among this group of recipients and to receive this award today is a highlight in my life. And I thank everybody.
Oh, you're very welcome, and congratulations to you as well. And a hug back to you. That's great. Okay, so maybe a couple of questions that we sort of wanted to start this dialogue off with. You know, I think of you as a change agent, you know, both inside and outside of organizations. And I think it's for some of those of us who haven't worked in the finance sector, I'm wondering if you can talk a bit about some of the steps and considerations in being a change agent in the work that you've been doing.
Sure. The change agent and the opportunity for corporations to embrace sustainability is not only the right thing to do, the right time to do it, but it makes business sense. So it's no longer sufficient, and this is my opinion, for business to just make money. Now we have what people have coined capitalism without greed. So how do we move forward and build and embed sustainability into our everyday lives? Our clients are asking for this, and most importantly, also our employees are asking for this. In fact, at the cooperators, for 2 years running in our annual engagement survey, employees rank sustainability as the #1 driver. I never thought I'd see something like that. So when you have that type of momentum, it really makes it easy to be a change leader, or maybe I should say easier, maybe not easy, easier to be a change agent. If I think of the number of websites of organizations that now promote CSR, corporate social responsibility, or sustainability, that's fabulous. But let's do a deeper dive. Is it marketing and branding, or is it true authentic sustainability that needs to be advocated and move forward? And there is a difference. I happen to be very fortunate to come from an organization that believes that it's bone deep. So at the cooperators, we did have sustainability policies, plans. They have a sustainability committee, and it has equal weighting at the organization. Senior leaders were bonused for their sustainability plans. Sure, at the beginning, it was things like turn the lights off and, duplicity of printing, etc. But now it's actually merged into what are some key drivers for the business? Can we develop sustainable products or have more attributes to our products that have sustainability elements? It's truly about advancing sustainability and embedding it in an organization. So I think as a change agent, if you put some of these parameters in place, it is easier for an organization to become an authentic sustainability leader. And if I think of something like the P4A organization that we started with Waterloo, again, that operators on the map leading blood resiliency in Canada. Impact investing would be another example where we have our 20% of our institutional investments are now in impact investing, not just regular investments with a return, but those that have a social or environmental impact. If I think of our integrated report, it's not just about reporting on your financial returns annually, it's about reporting on your financial and your non-financial impacts for the year. That's where we're going to see the changes going forward. We have a long way to go, but I'm also proud of how far we've come.
Just a quick follow-up. In the post-COVID world that most of us imagine, do you see there being particular roles that the financial sector will play? And do you worry, and sometimes I do you worry that our need to restart the economy and to focus on all kinds of important social issues might take attention away from the environmental dimension of sustainability? I guess I'm just wondering, when you do future gazing, what do you think about?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. That might be a full bottle of wine, actually. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can manage that.
But I'll start with this today.
Okay.
The social and the environmental issues are actually, in my mind, intertwined. So I don't think you can separate them out. And the example I'll use, and I'll bring in COVID in a minute, is flooding. So when you have a community that is flooded out, and by the way, we know they're going to be flooded out. It comes as no surprise. It's not a fortuitous event. We allowed people to build in an area where there's vulnerable. When they have an issue with flooding in any given year, we give them another building permit and we allow them to rebuild in the same spot. And then 2 years later we go, oh, what a surprise. It's not a surprise. But the issue isn't only an environmental one with flooding. Think of how those families and businesses are impacted. Children and families are out of their homes, they're out of their schools, they're out of their workplaces. Everything is intertwined. So when I think of COVID, I think of also how that fits into our economy from a mental health perspective. What are we asking of our population now to be? I'm in a 14-day isolation. Many people are in isolation much longer. So I think going forward, the financial community has an even greater role that we're going to be able to play. And it needs bold leadership. So it's not just popular leadership. It needs bold leadership that's going to look long-term and not look for immediate gratification. That's very hard to say to a politician, particularly. It might be hard for a CEO of some company with the shareholder returns. I can remember Minister Morneau when he released the report from the expert panel on sustainable finance. This was June of 19. He said, success will be when we no longer say sustainable finance. We just say finance. And that's what it means. So I think we'll get there, Jean, but there's a lot of work ahead.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're still engaged. That's wonderful. Thank you again and congratulations. And we look forward to more conversation in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, our third award winner, it's my pleasure now to introduce. So this is the Young Alumni Inspiration Award. So this next honoree graduated only 5 years ago and already has established herself as a leader at the forefront of Indigenous engagement of Canada's clean energy economy. Erin Stewart is the creator and director of an award-winning Indigenous clean energy capacity building program. The 2020 Catalysts program was the first of its kind in Canada and was carefully designed to build technical, financial, and educational capacity while integrating traditional knowledge, ensuring community engagement and Indigenous leadership, and maximizing environmental, economic, and social benefits. Working collaboratively with Indigenous leaders and clean energy practitioners, Erin has designed over 35 curriculum modules focused on community engagement, employment, project development, finance, and legacy planning as it relates to clean energy. The program was developed to meet the energy challenges and needs of Indigenous communities from coast to coast to coast. And it was awarded the Group Leadership Award from the Canadian Wind Energy Association in 2018. Now in its fifth year, 2020 has supported over 100 Indigenous clean energy champions on their energy journeys, and it's created a strong network of Indigenous leaders and allies across the country to share success and learn from challenges and advocate for change, work together. Several of these clean energy champions provided letters of reference to support Erin's nomination, and they noted how impactful the program had been for them. Many called it life-changing, noting that it took a special set of skills to create and support a network where members end up feeling like family. Erin's dedication to the sustainability field extends beyond her leadership of the Catalyst program. In 2017, she was one of 20 emerging leaders selected by the Arctic Council to take part in the Arctic Remote Energy Network Academy. She has authored the Arctic Sustainability Energy Toolkit, which is a book consolidating best practices to guide communities to develop their own community energy plans. She's a founding partner of the Pan-Canadian nonprofit, the Indigenous Clean Energy Social Enterprise, created to house the 2020 Catalyst program and other programs. And under her leadership, this group has partnered with Natural Resources Canada to deliver the Indigenous Off-Diesel initiative that supports off-grid communities to develop community energy plans and projects. Erin Stewart's leadership in the clean energy field and her for the community, by the community approach has been recognized in a number of fora, including 30 Under 30 in Sustainability in 2018 when they recognized her. Not only is her work creating lasting impact for Indigenous communities all across Canada, in the words of one of the clean energy champions, she is helping Indigenous communities across Canada set the table for our children's tomorrow. I am so thrilled to be able to provide this award to you, Erin, on behalf of the faculty. And before we have you say a few words, we're going to show your video, please.
There's a very distinct memory of when I was around probably about 8 years old. We were hiking on the Bruce Trail, and then that leads on to the Red Hill Valley. At the time, they were building the Red Hill Creek Expressway. And so my dad was showing me where things were going to be clearing. There was already trees being taken down. And I remember seeing a deer out in the barren wasteland that would then be a highway. This memory really resonated with me of striking an intersect between what was being built and the need in our city, but also protecting the environment. At Indigenous Clean Energy, we really focus on Indigenous capacity building for the clean energy sector. And we have a wide variety of programs and initiatives that we work on with communities across the country. In terms of my work at Lumos Energy, as the vice president, I really work on projects that are new and innovative in the energy sector, helping advise communities on how to pursue those initiatives and follow them through to completion, ensuring that Indigenous communities have the most social and economic benefit from those projects. Every single day, I'm learning cultural lessons, life lessons, things that I will carry with me for the rest of my life from the communities that I get to work with. They've made me a better person. They've made me think differently. They've made me want to view the world and explore it in a different way than I would have dreamed. And so I am immensely grateful to be in the position that I am, where I get to learn from these incredibly impactful people. We have been able to provide tools, resources, information, but more importantly, a network for people to connect, to discuss how to advance clean energy projects in their own communities. And what I think is so valuable and important about the work that we do at ICE is that it really comes from a strengths-based approach for the communities, that they're advancing their own projects, and we're there to help guide and support them along their own journeys. Success is impact to me. Success is supporting others. Success is looking at what we can do to make this world a better place for everybody. We all do not need to be the VIPs leading the charge on this. We all need to be very impactful people, looking at our impact in a tangible way and looking past conversations into actual action. There are so many different challenges and problems in this world, and we need to just take them bit by bit and challenge the status quo.
Thank you so much, Erin. Thanks especially for showing those T-shirts from the University of Waterloo. But no, very, very seriously, warm congratulations on winning the Young Alumni Award, the Inspiration Award, because you really are inspiring. And yeah, there it is. And it's fantastic. I mean, I knew you as a student, and to hear the impact that you've had in this short time is nothing short of than surprising and amazing. And so, a few words, please.
Oh, thank you so much, Dean Jean. I appreciate it so much. And I said this, but I'm truly grateful to the University of Waterloo. The university has really given me so much in terms of knowledge and relationships that has helped propel my career. So I'm thankful to so many faculty, including yourself, for this award and for this honor. Some other people that I'm very grateful for is, of course, my family. My family has always taught me the importance of caring for others and following my heart and intuition. And I'm also really thankful for my partner, Brett Harper. He has to put up with my long evenings, constant dedication to my work, and mostly travel too. So I'm so thankful that he's so supportive of me and my job. My colleagues at ICE, our collective continued dedication to our shared vision of the organization is something that is unparalleled. And then, of course, as I mentioned in the video, the Indigenous communities that I work with have taught me everything and so much that I continue to learn each and every day. I'm also very grateful and honored and for the Huron-Wendat, Erie, Neutral, Haudenosaunee, and Mississauga's territory, who I called home growing up, as well as the Anishinaabe peoples whose land I live and work on in Ottawa. So those things are so important to me as I continue to look at my own lens and take on the world, that understanding the history and recognizing the land that I call home. I'm grateful for that.
Okay, thank you. As you're talking, you're sort of helping all of us ask ourselves important questions. But the first one really relates to allyship. Many people have commented about the need for other Canadians to better understand what it means to be an ally. And I just wonder, you've been working in real partnership. Maybe can you comment what it takes to work in real partnership, and even whether you think of yourself as an ally?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of allyship for me, allyship is something that is truly personal and very introspective. There isn't a big allyship award that you get, and it's something that you have to continuously put effort into. And really, there's no end point. And so, I'm learning something every day about decolonizing my own thoughts, my own opinions, and my own actions. And I can say with humility, really, that I've made plenty of mistakes in this journey over, the last 5 years, but also way before that. And, just because people may think or say you're a good ally doesn't necessarily mean that is it for everybody. Everyone doesn't have those same opinions. And so it's really just focusing on and asking yourself those fundamental questions of, am I doing enough? And if the answer is, I'm not sure, or no, then I think that that's something you need to look at personally. But there is a lot of things that I have learned from Indigenous people or that are around me that I would like to share with others on this call, because I think it is, a learning and growing process for a lot of people. One of the things I can recommend is looking into taking a decolonization workshop or anti-oppression training. And that's part of your independent study and learning. If you're starting out and you're kind of wondering, Erin, where do I go for this? A great place to start is there's a course called Indigenous Canada, taught out of the University of Alberta. It's completely free. You can register today. So that's a course that really talks about Canada's true history. Another thing that I can recommend is everyone should be thinking critically really about the lands that they occupy, whether that be where they live, where they work, where they travel, and understand that history. It's not about the acknowledgement of the land as much as it is, much deeper than that. And then the next one I would say is there's often cultural centers in every city, town, even on university campuses. And I encourage you to explore and understand that, and really try to immerse yourself in that learning. And then the last ones would be making sure there are Indigenous voices at the table, and paying for that labor, emotional labor. And because representation matters. It matters in our workplaces, it matters in the energy sector, it matters at our university. And getting information from Indigenous creators, and also buying from Indigenous people is something that I think we as Canadians and settlers of this land really need to take into consideration.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those calls to action. Maybe just one follow-up question about youth.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of impact as a young person, well, at least compared to how I feel. And what do you say to young people about how to have lasting impact, or how to think about taking what they're passionate about for impact? I mean, talk to us a little bit about the youth thing, or examples of where you believe that maybe now the youth voice is being heard in a way that's different. I just love to hear a few comments you have about youth.
Yeah, of course. So I think I bring kind of maybe a different perspective than other youth, but maybe youth do feel the same. Can't speak for all of them. But when I graduated from the University of Waterloo, I was, 22 or 23, and I was put in charge of creating a program from scratch, and managing people that were much older than me. And I took kind of a vow to myself that I was not going to let anybody know how young I was. I didn't want to be pigeonholed because of my age at all. And I didn't want it to be a deterrent from people, respecting me or taking me seriously. And so for myself, when I think about, the hypothetical seat at the table, as you might say, I didn't want to be seated at that table as a demographic. I wanted just a seat at that table. And what I think people are hearing loud and clear is that there's more youth that have so many important things to say and need a seat at the table, whether it be at the UN or in the organization or on the board. And it's not just the youth perspective, it's a valid concern, especially when it comes to climate change. And, it's more than just being the youth in the room. And I can say we have 15 staff at our organization, and about 50% of us are under the age of 30. And with confidence, a lot of our success has actually been the collective talents and strengths that we each bring to the team, no matter their age. And so I would say to youth and my fellow colleagues as youth, don't let people put you in boxes or minimize your potential, because you bring talents of your own to the organizations. And, if you have an idea and you think it will have real and lasting impact, run with that idea, because you can do it. And it doesn't necessarily need to equate to moving up an organization or corporate ladder, as you might say. Change can come in so many different respects that you can lead, but you can also just be a part of. And that's what I would say is don't let people hold you back.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And again, warm congratulations on behalf of the faculty and on behalf of the university, and my virtual hug to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jean.
I'm going to ask all three award winners to join us on screen now, because I have a couple of questions I want to ask each of you. And then if you're in the audience and you'd like to feed questions into the chat, perhaps you've started already, Dina Ramsey is going to be watching those. I assure you we'll pass all of the questions on to the award winners. We won't have a chance probably to ask them all, but we'll try to get some of them in. So as that's happening, I thought I would ask each of you sort of two questions. I'll ask them at the same time, and then we can maybe go around and have each of you maybe make a few comments on each of them. So the first one is just, looking back, like what makes you most proud, or what is that pivotal moment for you? Something about sort of a highlight in your life. Tell us a bit about that. And then something about advice to the next generation of environment students, some of whom are on the call and all of whom people like myself are trying to influence. So highlight in your career and advice for environment students going forward. So why don't I start with, who wants to start? Why don't I just ask? Who's ready? Okay, Wanjigu's ready. I can see that she clicked her frame, I think. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Now,
Okay.
which one do I? Let me start with the last one.
Yeah.
The next generation of environmental students. My advice is that you are on the right track. Environmental studies opens up your eyes to the whole universe and its many sectors, the natural resources, the politics, the science, and the human interaction that break through all aspects of life in the web of the world. There's no other discipline that is that rich and wide, nor that exciting. In the environment, you can take whatever interest you have and your passion and make the best out of it and be very, very fulfilled. So keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Okay. Maybe one of the other two would like to say, okay, Barb is ready. Okay.
Sure. So I'll tackle the last question also first, the advice for the next generation. And I'm actually going to start it off, and I did this in the video. It didn't make it into the video, but with an apology actually for my generation's tenure of handling the planet. I believe this is the first generation that is going to hand off the planet and society in worse shape than it received it in. And for that, I am apologetic. At the global level, there are a lot of serious issues. I hope they're not irreversible. And I think that given the challenge, the next generation, not only of environmental leaders, but just of youth leaders generally, is going to be able to help get us back on track. So if you would allow me, I'll give you 3 things that I would think you might want to consider. One is be bold and think outside the box. Clearly, the norms we have today aren't necessarily working for us. So don't repeat our mistakes. Take it forward and think about what could be different. Stick handle it for us. It's also about taking risk. One of my great mentors, and he was on the call, I don't know if he still is, Dennis, used to say to me, if you don't fail every so often, you're not taking sufficient risk. And then the next sentence would be, but don't fail often because then you're incompetent. So the idea that I'm saying here is we need to take risks in order to move forward and be innovative. And then lastly, I would say be persistent. So when you get a no means maybe you're not communicating it well enough, the issue that's at hand. Maybe you need another way to present that issue, or maybe you need to develop more relationships with ambassadors, because I've always found that's helpful. Maybe it's not you giving the message, but it's coming from another area. So consider how you might move that messaging forward. And I have complete confidence when I see the young leaders coming up, I know they will do better than we did.
Thank you, Barb. Erin, a few thoughts?
Yeah, I guess in some regards, I am, speaking to my colleagues on this one in terms of where they're at. And I think what I would like to say is be kind to yourself. I heard about a young lady who was at the United Nations, and she'd been working around the clock on environmental and sustainability, it seemed, and she ended up committing suicide. And because she didn't see a future for herself and what that meant in a world of climate change. And although we want to push, we need to be taking care of ourselves, because I see my generation really seeing a not so bright future sometimes. And I think it's being kind. And I learned one of these great lessons from an elder in Elsie Booktook. And she told me I was very stressed and high on anxiety. And she said, Erin, we can't save the planet unless we take care of ourselves. And we need to think about that. And that is so important, I think, as we move in such a giving field of sustainability and environment. We need to make sure that our mental health is in place. And so be kind. That's how you will sustain yourselves for sustainability.
I think those are wise words. And I think we all especially feel the need for a little more kindness and a little more room in our lives as we're dealing with COVID as well. One of the questions that came in actually feeds directly on that. And I thought, again, I might get each of you to comment. And it really is saying, how do you yourself stay positive or help others stay positive? Or you could look at it another way. What gives you the hope to sort of keep going? So anybody want to take a swing at that one?
I can take a swing at it.
Okay, thanks, Erin. Yeah.
So, for me, it truly is community-led approaches from my perspective is seeing communities that I work with in the far, far north in Nunavut that are becoming engaged on these topics of climate change and environmentalism and intersectional environmentalism and clean energy. And their world maybe was so small and insular, and now everybody is getting to see them on a global stage, and they're making tangible efforts on the ground. And that to me gives me immense amount of hope, is seeing the leadership they're taking day in and day out.
Very nice, thank you. Wanjiku, do you have a few thoughts to share?
Yeah, what gives me hope? Most of the times it's when you see just a simple idea, something very small, making a big difference in either people's personal lives or the community lives. And small things that make you think. Sometimes it's just an inability to access the knowledge that is required to trigger the changes that we are anticipating for. And the minute you become the conduit to that knowledge or skill that triggers that change, at the end of the day, you are very, very happy. One of my happiest moments in my life in the community is in one of the Congo communities in DRC Congo. And I just taught them what my mother taught me on how to plant beans in a row. Just put beans in a row rather than just scattering them like wheat. You save the seed, you save the time, and the production was 15 times more than they ever harvested. Very simple. It was nothing from heaven, or it was just something that we used to do with my mother, and I just said, this is how you do it, and that makes a whole difference in a family or in a household. Just simple little things that make. So it gives me hope that we have most of the solutions we have for our world, and as Barbara says, we still have things we can do to make the difference. And that gives me hope, that we still have things we can do to make the changes that we need. It gives me hope to be able to encourage a student who is almost giving up, and as Lane is saying, somebody who has even lost the need to take care of themselves, and say, no, our universe is rich. Look out and appreciate and be positive. And you see somebody changing from a hopeless situation to somebody who is ready now to take up their studies and properly. That gives me.
Okay, thank you, Wanjiku. Barb, a few thoughts?
Yeah, those are great ones. I'm going to put my finance hat on to answer what gives me hope. And from that perspective, there are a couple of things. One is our new staff that continue to join our team. They choose the cooperators because they feel the values of our company as a cooperative align with their personal values. And what this results in is we are getting the cream of the crop to come work with us and advance the change that's needed to move forward, not only as an insurer, but as a sustainable insurer. And the second one I would say is the advancement I've seen, engagement advancement of both business and government on the topic. Sometimes I think it's too slow. It probably is, but you can only inch forward and make sure that everybody's with you at a certain speed. Otherwise, if you go at max speed, you may have nobody there at the end, and that's not the answer either. But I'm very encouraged by businesses and different sectors, from finance to energy to real estate, getting on board with the issues that are facing Canadians and facing the world. So I have much more hope than I do despair. And I think when we frame it, hopefully, we're going to have more people join and get on rather than the fear mongering that sometimes has taken place.
Thank you. A question has come in that sort of builds on what we've been talking about. And of course, you know, we've been talking about hope and inspiration, and sometimes there's the risk that we look at people who have managed to achieve something great as inspiring to ourselves. And the comment that's made is that they're not there for inspiration consumption. You know, they're there sometimes in very disadvantaged situations, you know, working to make that systemic change. So any thoughts to share about the systemic change and examples that you've seen in the world that we know is going beyond rhetoric and it's actually about leading this kind of change? And I see Erin nodding, so she's got something to add, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, when we're looking at the rhetoric, specifically, you know, as young people, there is a lot of inspiration kind of rhetoric that says we're going to be the generation that takes it over, but we need to be looking more at tangible actions to help us do that. And I would say this is where advocacy really comes into play here. This is where giving meaningful seats at different tables and different envelopes, like we do that in terms of the organization. We're an Indigenous governed, Indigenous led organization, and that's important, is that visibility of BIPOC, of it, like Indigenous people, of LGBTQ communities at all of these tables. And I think when I went to the University of Waterloo, one thing that I would love to see is how is that being integrated into the faculty curriculum, right? When I went through environment and business, it was something that was missing, I would say. And we're learning so much about all of these environmental sustainability issues, but intersectional environmentalism and showing those people on the ground in terms of an advocacy side is so important. And so I guess from a call to action of what do we do for the youth, my call to action back for everybody is how do we make sure that those voices are heard?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you kind of did a throw to the faculty, and I'll just maybe make a really quick comment. I think this is the most serious that our institution has taken BIPOC this last 6 months, and I'm very encouraged by that. I do believe we're going to see systemic change. Our president has formed an anti-racism task force, and all of the faculties are engaged with it. This morning, I had a faculty council meeting, and I laid out 10 small but significant steps that we had taken already in the faculty to move forward on this in tangible ways. And it ranged from support for international graduate students and postdocs, you know, all the way through to how we do our hiring to ensure better representation. So I actually think that this is a moment of systemic change, but it is going to take us to leave our shoulders to the wheel. And for those of us who've been involved in the climate change story for as long as I know I have, I think we're ready for the long haul.
Yeah,
so that's what I would say.
Of course. And are
there others who wanted to comment a little bit on that question, or?
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Yeah. I think I want to support Anne in that, and I think what you have said is very important. It just brings me back to Waterloo. I think there were only three African-looking girls in the whole university when I was there for 4 years. I think there was one in engineering and one in medicine, and it looked like a very lonely place if you looked at that part of life. So I think it's very good to see that. But from a global perspective, I think one of the most encouraging things is that people are speaking out about systemic issues that have been held by societies, and nobody having the courage to say, this is wrong, let's deal with it, from whichever side we are coming. So to me, the future, and especially Anne and her age mates, is that at least now the society is opening up. It is no longer embarrassing to talk about Black Lives Matter or about the LGBT, or this is not right, this is wrong, this is not right. And what is most encouraging, about a week ago, I got an email from a friend, one of my Canadian friends, and she had been asked to point out, they need somebody to sit in a board. And the lady who was in the charge of this, she said, we must have an African scholar in this board. We cannot have all of us coming from Europe and USA. We must have an African scholar in this board. And to me, that is very encouraging because it means we are really opening up to address these systematic problems that societies have carried along of discriminating some people and upgrading others, which we can decide we are not guilty, we never did it, we found our fathers doing it, and our grandfathers, our grandmothers, or we can say, this is a problem that we who are here now can address it so that our future generation don't have to go through this. That's what I would say about it.
Okay, thank you. Barb, I see you ready to say a few things. Yeah.
I am. So, you know, again, I'll have my corporate hat on because that's the world that I worked in, right? If I look at the cooperator's makeup of its staff 20 years ago, they all would have looked like me, male and female. I look at the makeup of our staff today, and it is reflective of today's society in Canada. Multicultural, multiracial, multi everything. And what that does for us is it enriches the way we view moving forward, because we're not just taking the singular old, if I can call it, white view of the past. And I think it's important that we have those voices at the table, that we're open to hearing from them, and that they're part of our solutions, because we're together. And, you know, if I go beyond the corporation and I think of our work at the UN, our participation with NIPFI, there's representation from every part of the world in insurance, investment, and banking. And I can tell you, I learned more from my interactions there than I could have ever learned in a book. And when you come back from those meetings, those events, it really enriches you to come back and make a difference in your own corporation, in your community, and even in your family, the discussions you have. So I think we've really turned the corner. Again, there's a lot of work to do. Yes. Is there a willingness to do it? Yes, again.
Thank you. I mean, I'll maybe just ask one final question, and it's a bit selfish. It wasn't on the list, but you know, we began this by recognizing that you did one of your degrees with us, that you're one of us. And so I wonder if you might reflect a little bit on, if you're giving me advice to take to the faculty about what we're doing wrong in environmental education, apart from decolonizing our curriculum, are there things that come to mind that you think, I think probably environmental education needs more or less of this?
I can start that one.
Please.
And I think we've had these discussions before. I think, Jean, you and I have had these discussions before, and it's not so much a matter of what's being done wrong, but maybe what could be done better or differently. I think is the way I'd approach that, because I think Waterloo has done an amazing job. If I think of the MEB program, I was in the second cohort. You're still the premier master's program in environment and business in Canada. And I'm not just saying that, you are. That's why I joined it, and that's what I continue to see. What I think could be made a little better would be, in addition to the academic side of this program, that there was an equal weight to having business leaders teach the programs or lead the programs. And I've often said, and I know it's not new to you, why not a 50-50 split? So all these courses, it's very nice to have the academic background. And that's why I went to the program, because I wanted that rigor, that foundation. But I also believe that when you're in academia, you may not have the knowledge that, say, somebody coming from the energy sector, the banking sector, insurance sector might have. And so the richness of the program could be even greater if there was more of a collaboration between the academic side and the business side. So it's doing really well, but I still see that as an opportunity.
It is an opportunity. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
What
I would want to follow up on that thought, and when I think through it now, I think within the university there were co-op programs, and I don't think environmental studies had a co-op opportunity, and I think that would really breed very well with what Barbara is saying. Irrespective of the program, when I look back, I said, I wish I could have had a semester in a real work environment within the Canadian system in a co-op arrangement. I think that would have enriched my studies.
Thank you. So Environment now has 70% of its undergraduate students in co-op. And I think our challenge is to extend it to graduate students where only probably 10% or 15% have it. And also to look at those programs that don't have co-op, often for good reason, but to try to give them the same benefits. So I think that's a very good prompt. It has been one of the things that's made us distinctive, but as others move into the space, we need to continue to do it better. Yeah. Thank you.
The University of Waterloo's co-op program is just so world-changing to be a part of. It gave me so much. And I think, similar to what when Jiku and Barbara are saying here is bringing those companies into the university as well to support learning. It's just so strong. I mean, I know even our company hired co-op students from Waterloo. I'm sure a lot of companies would be willing to give back to the faculty of environment. So I think those connections could be even stronger, but Waterloo does such a good job. There's a reason that we all went here, right? So feel very honored to be an alum.
Okay, well, on that positive note, I'm going to then call the question period to an end. I just want to say again, my warmest congratulations to you and Jiku, to Barb, to Aaron. You make us proud. I'm so pleased that we were able to recognize you, and I just wish you all the best. And I know we'll stay in touch. So again, warm congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.